And we're live. Welcome, everybody, to the first Gain LinkedIn Live of 2025. Really happy to be kicking off this season and this series again. And today we are joined by April Key from Mews. She's Solutions Architect. And so happy to have you here today, April.
I'm excited to be here. Love to see this opportunity to be able to share a little bit about a topic that's really near and dear to my heart and talk a little bit more with you, Zoe.
Fantastic. It's going to be a good one. And we're going to try and stick to the 20 minutes, everybody, but we can't guarantee it. We will try.
We're going to try.
We'll try. So first of all, April, tell me a bit about your background and also what you're currently working on at Mews.
Oh, wow. So, a little bit about me. I am a bit of a hospitality industry vet. I've been around for about 15, getting closer to that 20-year mark in hospitality. I've worked for some large hotel brands. I've also worked for an OTA in my past. And today I get the opportunity to work for and be a part of the great things that are happening at Mews. Like you mentioned, I'm a solutions architect. So, a lot of my job is interacting with prospective customers looking to, leverage Muse to drive great experiences for their guests, introduce some opportunities for efficiency for their users, and of course, drive revenue.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Thank you so much. As you said, today we're talking about integrations. So massive topic. So really, why are we talking about integrations today? Why are they so crucial to the hospitality industry?
Well, a lot of my career, a lot of my past has been in interoperability and connectivity within the space. So I think I feel like I'm a little bit more best positioned to have this conversation and talk about integrations. Integrations are really powerful. They allow users, hotels specifically, to extend their capabilities beyond what their core system might be, whether that core system is a PMS like Muse or a large CRS. In either instance, integrations allow us to extend our ability and go deeper in areas where our core system might not. Very specific example that I like to use all the time is that a PMS is a PMS and it does PMS functions. It's focused on those operational processes within the hotel, but there are core capabilities and functionalities that you want to be able to give to your guests. Things like messaging, where you might want to do that email marketing and campaigning and all of that. Your PMS is not built for that. It's not meant to do those things. That's where you leverage an integration, where it makes sense to be able to marry those two systems so that you can, as a user, and as a hotelier, provide additional services and capabilities out to your guests. Those integrations they're just really really powerful, and being able to extend your reach and extend your capability to go deeper in other areas that your core system may not.
Yeah, got it. So it's like a collaboration. It's like systems, allowing systems to collaborate with each other and just extend. I love that. Sometimes, when I've had conversations about this before, the issue of it being a complex area or it being a complexity for hoteliers comes up. So what do you think about that?
So, integrations are complex, and there's a lot of reasons behind that complexity. A lot of it is owning up to the complexity of integrations, of interoperability, in the fact that you have all of these very disparate systems. And one of the things I always say is that hospitality is sort of the industry that technology happened to. And so as things sort of have come, we came with the PMS and the CRS and the sales and catering system, yet all of these very disparate systems that came up with specific purposes in mind. And when they were built to do their job, that specific role that they were meant to play. And I think uh, there wasn't a lot of forethought, obviously, at that point to think about the fact that these systems probably need to need to work well together, need to talk to each other. And so even within the hotel, there's a lot of challenges with interoperability between the systems that the hotels are using today. And then when you extend that outside of the hotel, outside of the walls of the hotel, and you maybe even move up to sort of a corporate level at a CRS level, there's a lot of systems and integration sometimes that, or different areas of data that companies are trying to pull together, and they're having to go manually pull information from one place to the other. I call it swivel chair activities. They're having to go from one place to the next to be able to consolidate and reconcile data and pull it together. A lot of that, again, it's different systems that were built at different times, having different languages. And today, I think we have also the challenge in that you have a lot of new and innovative cloud-based systems that are out there trying to interact and engage with a lot of legacy platforms and technology that are out there too.
Right, yeah, swivel chair. I love that. That's such a great visual metaphor of
Yeah.
what you do not want to be doing in your business at all. So yeah, no, you touched a bit upon the cloud and the legacy systems there. Do you think that, I mean, it's such a big deal for hoteliers to be changing these systems right now. But I mean, I think an important thing to highlight is like, what is the cost of not changing? Because if you leave it and you leave it and leave it, what is this cost in 2 years, in 5 years, in 10 years time, sort of for hoteliers?
And that's absolutely, I think, the right question to ask in when we talk about integrations, because be in full transparency, every integration you have, that potentially is additional cost that's eating away at your profitability. That's why it's important to obviously make sure that you choose the right integrations for you. But when we talk about the cost, it's easy to be able to say, yep, this is going to cost me X amount of dollars. But you're asking the right question in what's the cost of not changing? When we think about efficiency within a hotel, you might have a staff members who are doing lots of manual tasks that's taking them hours to do. And by automating those tasks of that team, you have the ability to now reallocate those employees to doing things that are much more value driven, value that will create value for your guests, will create value for you. Are there other areas of things that they could be working on that are really going to contribute more revenue? So when we think about the cost associated with an integration, also let's stack up all of the costs of not doing that. And a lot of times that cost might not necessarily be directly a dollar value. It may be a time factor. One of the key things that we look at here at Mews is time on tasks. And we want to look at, how much time is it taking that front desk agent to not have their eyes on the guest and key in and type in a check-in for a guest, and how often do they have to move away from the guest and do all these other things, instead of having an experience that's automated for check-in that allows the guests to check in and you can show up and greet them, say their name, give them their key, and answer their questions and allow them to move on and give them a more personalized experience. So you really have to look at not just, oh, it's X amount of dollars on this integration. In that specific example, how is it going to improve my guest experience? How is it going to improve my team experience, my users within the hotel? And essentially that could, have an impact on my revenue as well, and therefore sort of decrease the cost of the integration, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it perfectly makes sense. And I think I'm glad you mentioned what is the cost or value to your team and also to your guests. So if you're sort of bogging down your team with repetitive tasks or complex system, maybe you have high staff turnover rate. That's hugely costly to an organization. Maybe if you're, not providing the guest service that your guests expect, you're going to have bad reviews and you're not going to have bookings, and you're going to affect your loyalty. So I love that idea of the hidden costs. And I think it's so much more important to sort of dig down further than just the revenue price on something. Yeah, it's a organizational issue.
Yeah, for sure.
One of the topics that I think we can't avoid when talking about integrations is one of the massive challenges that everybody's aware of in the industry, which is you mentioned there are different systems. We've got integrations to join them up, essentially extend their capabilities, but we've got a massive mismatch in data formats, a mismatch and a disconnect in frameworks. Like, how do you face this, in your day to day?
This is legitimately a challenge that I know I've kind of dealt with across my career in connectivity. Again, we talk about all of those disparate systems that were developed at different times to do specific things. And now we're in a world where we appreciate integrations. We appreciate everything, pulling all of that data and coming together. But, you know, a lot of hotels are having to deal with it, unfortunately, manually. And there are organizations, I should say, that are out there. I can call out the likes of an Open Travel, the likes of HTNG, which is now a part of America's Hotel and Lodging Association. They have, attempted to put together frameworks that will allow operators within the travel space to interoperate. And I think a lot of it has, a lot of people aren't aware of those frameworks. So I think that's one of the challenges we need to further talk about and make sure there's greater awareness about the opportunities that we do have to integrate and interoperate better, even amongst two systems that may speak different languages. You also have, when we have these types of conversations, that's where you have the introduction of sort of some of these middleware players who can help you navigate that space where I may be on a legacy system, but I want to integrate with a system that is doing something a little bit more advanced. Maybe it's cloud based. Maybe it's my plan to get there in a few years, but I need some help in the meantime to connect the gumworks in the back. Those middleware players, they're there. Especially to help out in these situations and sort of reduce some of the friction and do some of that mapping and the heavy lifting in the middle that will enable those integrations to happen a bit more seamlessly for hoteliers.
Got it. Yeah, it's amazing that the complexity of the landscape, but actually the solutions that we're finding to kind of to fix that
Yeah.
and to come to a good conclusion for everyone. I think I know that Mews has a bunch, let's just say, of integrations, just to put it mildly, which is fantastic. But I wanted to ask you, like, with the integrations landscape being what it is, being so complex, there is so many different options out there. Is there a way to simplify that for hoteliers? And do they actually need every integration that they want and ask for? Do we really need loads of integrations?
One of the things that I think is absolutely amazing that I've loved seeing in coming here to Muse and to work for Muse after a career in connectivity is how easy it is to interoperate here. And I think a lot of that is enabled by the decision that was made early on to have an open API, leverage open API to uh, enable that interoperability. And it's why we have 1,000+ integrations in our marketplace. And a lot of that, it sort of enables two sides. We talked about the scalability and the flexibility to, integrate across all of these different systems, but it allows us to be in a position to interact with hoteliers and say, you can use the same systems you use today. Look, we work with them. They're in our marketplace, and it makes things a little bit seamless for you. But to your question about how do we sort of simplify all of this, as a solutions architect, I think that's one of the parts of my role that I enjoy, that sort of consultative role. I think a lot of hoteliers sometimes come to the table, they've heard a company name or a buzzword or something like that, and they think they need all of these integrations. They think they need, the 15, 20 integrations. And a lot of my conversation really is, what type of experience are you looking to enable for your guests, for your users? What type of revenue metrics are you looking at to drive your business? Are you trying to increase RevPAR, ADR? Let's talk about what you want your business to look like. And then let's talk about the integrations that you need that are really going to enable your business. Again, going back to that example we just talked about the staff and their time. Which of these integrations are going to deliver the most value to you based on the business strategy that you have? You don't need every integration in the book because, again, in transparency, those integrations sometimes come with additional costs. So we want to be specific about where we're headed and apply integrations where needed, not just for the sake of having an integration.
Right. That makes total sense. So when I have a hotel one day, I'm coming to you. Because you'll tell me
Yeah,
the
and
right,
I hope you'll put it on Mews. Yep.
obviously. So that's great. Yeah, no, I love that. And I think that's a sign of a professional and a good partner to kind of be savvy in what we really need and what we don't, because it is costly, not just money, but time, like you said, staff, all these things have to be taken into account. One of the other questions that I've heard coming up is about obviously data security. Now, we've got this system, we've got that system, we've got maybe another system in the middle. Like, how can we mitigate? How can we protect hoteliers from what is, a serious risk to their business?
In the last, it's been in the, last 10 plus years or so, you know, we realized the value of data, and data became this commodity for us that everyone was monetizing and sharing. And while it drives a lot of value for us in data, as we look at those integrations specifically, we have to be mindful and be good stewards of the data that we have, especially where there's customer data involved. And rightly so. As an individual consumer, I want to know the companies that I'm dealing with are managing their relationships with other companies in such a way that they are protecting my data. And so when you see regulations out there, not just in the in the payments industry with PCI DSS, or even things like PSD2 that came out of the EU, and some of these other regulations around protecting data, individual customer data privacy. I think it's very, very important that when you are evaluating integrations to your system, that they align, on the core tenets of, maintaining security of that data, even if it's just, your customer information and stuff like that, especially your customer information. But I know we can be protective of our transactional information and all of that as well. But it's highly important that when you look at these and evaluate integrations, look at what their compliance standards are as well, so that you are partnering with people who are like-minded in their practices of how they maintain data, but also any rules or guidelines they have around exchanging data. So you want to be mindful across any of these integrations. Yes, we want to extend our capabilities, but we also have to be careful in who we do business with and how we exchange data and what data is going to be exchanged.
Yeah, 100%. Not at any cost. We want to extend our capabilities, but not at any cost. That's
Right.
wise advice. Yeah. So I'm going to quote the title of this show, which is something that when we had our chat came up very organically, and I absolutely love it, which is, you told me integrations are a living thing. And I was like, hey, that's amazing. From my point of view, it was like a plug it in and go away. And you told me
Yeah.
no. So tell me about the title and what that really means.
And, I think a lot of people come to integrations with that thought in mind. Hey, I spent all this effort and energy from my dev team and cost, and I got integrated, and now I'm integrated. I'm done. I'm going to go do that new thing. But as, again, someone who's worked in connectivity for a long time, you have to appreciate that these integrations are living, breathing things. If you imagine even a Mews, we're an innovative company, so we're introducing new capabilities every day. right? And we work with innovative companies who want to introduce new capabilities every day. And so we want to continue to maintain those integrations such that as new capabilities and things become available, new opportunities to be able to learn from each other exist, those integrations are going to have to change. And if you don't, essentially what's going to happen is you're going to let that integration get old and outdated, and then it's going to take an active Congress to go ahead and get that updated. It's going to be very hard for you to jump from where you were 10 years ago to everything that's happening today. And so that's a lot of the challenge that I think some players are dealing with today because they don't necessarily see integrations as living things. You have evolving industry standards, things that are changing over time. I think we just talked about data security and compliance. 20 years ago, we weren't really thinking about those things. And so now that we have those things in place, that's something that we have to be mindful of. One of the things that's from my past, of course, and I think it's relevant today is, a lot of hotels and systems connect out to some of the largest channels in the world, the Expedias, the Booking.coms of the world. They are constantly evolving. They're changing their statuses of what's required in their messaging, and because they're very much so focused on customer experience as well. So they're evolving, and we need to be able to keep up. So when you think about these integrations, again, going back to the conversation about integrate where it's necessary, because these things are living beings that you're going to have to maintain.
That's right. You heard it here, everyone. You need to, if you haven't updated your integration, and I can imagine not just for functionality, but as we said, for security reasons, they need to be maintained. So that's a great takeaway. I love it. Um, Tailing up here, like what is on the horizon? What do you see next for integrations, or what's going on at Mews for integrations? Anything else you'd like to talk about?
Well, of course, at Muse, we have our open API, so integrations are our thing. And so, from that perspective, we'll continue to be able to add, those integrations that make sense for our hoteliers and that drive value. And again, partnering with like-minded partners who want to be innovative in the space, who want to drive a greater guest experience, drive revenue, and of course, efficiency within the hotel. But when I think about the future of integrations, I think a lot of this conversation, even we've really centered on, your system plus other systems that sit outside of your walls. And when I think about sort of the future of integrations, it's really more internal. Thinking of a hotel company that may have a CRM that has their PMS or CRS, has this sales and catering system, has a loyalty database. Really, the power in integrations there is pulling all of those data points together and being able to pull all those data points together internally. So internally integrate and create a oneness. I think that's going to be really, really huge because that will then enable hoteliers to benefit from things like generative AI and causal AI because you can pull that data together to be able to drive some more informed insights. I think we'll see integrations as well in sort of the virtual reality space, being able to see, visualize the room and the experiences that a guest may have. But I really see that big piece of integrations really us starting to harmonize our tech stack, what we have, what we're working with today, and how do we harmonize all of that data and bring it together to help us to drive better insights across our business.
Fantastic. Yeah. The fragmented tech stack is
Yes.
is is real and it's an issue. And to be able to bring all that within one hotel is already challenging enough. And I think it's something we're going to see
Oh, for
solved.
sure. It,
Yeah.
it's, you know, it's yes, it's been, system to system integration, but really, I think that harmonizing of data just really is going to play a really, really big role in the future. I know the conversation of AI has been out there for a long time, but as I was kind of reflecting on it, generative AI, specifically like Chat GPT, it sort of gave a name to a name to AI, and in a way that people can really put their finger on and name. But in order for those types of systems, where generative AI or conversational AI or causal AI can be effective in the hospitality space, it's going to require that marrying up of your data across all of these different systems to make those types of insights and things that are going to be game changers for businesses.
Yeah, exciting times, very exciting times in tech. So we're lucky to work in this area. We're lucky to work in hospitality, and it's been absolutely fantastic having you on, April. Thank
Thank you
you.
for having me.
Thank you so much, and have a great rest of your day, and see you soon, everyone.
Bye, everyone.